Hey everyone, it's Clive here. Welcome back to the channel. So today I've got a really exciting episode planned. I'm going to be speaking to a South African musician, Shane from Desmond and the Tutus. So we're going to be working on his Acacia Bonsai. We're going to do some maintenance on the tree, as well as speaking about the South African music scene. This is Shane's beautiful acacia tree, and today we're just going to do a bit of maintenance on the tree. I'm going to show him how to prune it. You can see it's grown quite wild. Really impressed how he's kept it alive, especially being, in the music scene. You can imagine how busy people are who are in the music scene. So good job, man. That's always it's always a relief, coming to someone's house and their trees are flourishing. Cool. So do you want to tell us a little bit about your tree while I grab these tools over here?
Sure, yeah. Well, there's not a lot to say apart from it was a birthday present last year for my 40th birthday. And for the last couple of years, I've been kind of getting into bonsais just on an observer level, kind of just enjoying seeing them at the botanical gardens and so on. And slowly started to think starting to prep myself one day I should get one of these, you know. And then I did try to grow from seeds, but that's like a level of commitment that I don't know that I'm ready for, it's just too long term. So the couple that I tried to grow wasn't kind of going anywhere. And then I kind of hatched this plan to, over time, get bonsais that correspond with our ages, as in the family members and maybe my parents and so on.
Yeah.
And then Angie, for my 40th birthday, got this 40-year-old tree.
How cool is that?
And I was just sort of thrust into bonsai ownership. And well, like you've said, it's kind of just been, I've just kind of let it go. And I've been prepping for a day such as today, when I've got to eventually face the fact that we're going to have to trim it and get it under control. And when it's got leaves, it's really quite something. It's like we keep it up here on the roof, and when people come out, and it's really quite a thing to see.
It's a beautiful tree. I mean, it's bigger than I thought. Photos are always deceiving. So we're going to get stuck into this beautiful acacia. So before we start, we basically going to start by removing any of the competing leaders. So any branches that are growing completely upwards, we want to remove. Anything that's crossing over. So at the end of the day, all of these things are kind of like guidelines. So, there's no real wrong or right in doing this. The tree's still going to grow. But when I'm talking about crossing branches, anything growing towards the tree, we generally want to remove. We want branches to grow outwards. And then, especially with your acacias, you can see how there's a lot of long extended branches. So we want to chop those back so we can start building up even more ramification on the tree. So when I talk about ramification, it almost means like tons of small little branches on the tree. So when you chop back, you're going to get new growth on the branches. And you don't want these big ugly branches. So especially on acacias, they get quite big and bulky, the branches, especially if you don't chop them back. So it's always a good idea to chop them back. Even if we go quite harsh down now, you'll see in summer it's going to grow like crazy, and you're going to get a lot finer branches on the tree. So you already have really nice fine branches on the tree. And then a few other things we're going to remove are like anything that's died off. So a tree always tries to equalize its energy. So it normally kills off other branches so that it has more, room for other branches to thrive. So you can generally see when a branch is dead is when you can snap it like a stick, and there's no life, where you can see over here, this still bends and has a lot of flexibility in the branch. And obviously you can see straight away it has little, swollen buds on the tree. So from the let go, I'm going to kind of just start by pruning, and then we're going to get Shane involved in the tree. And I'm sure a lot of you guys know that acacias have some really nice thorns on them, so someone's going to bleed today. Let's hope it's not me. Cool, so I'm just going to swing over here, but you can see, so normally when I prune an acacia, I hold the branch because, again, you know, there's so many thorns on it, so you don't really want to get hooked by those thorns. So I'm going to come in here and just start trimming some of these branches. You can see those thorns are already, and you normally want to take your time with acacias, because you rush it, you're not going to be too happy in the long run. So I'm going to get Shane to start trimming some of the branches.
Cool.
So anything that's growing directly downwards, I want to ask him to remove them. So obviously I'm here to guide you, so if you're unsure or so on, but like, you know, something like that growing directly downwards, you're going to remove, and from there we'll carry on the process. And I'm going to start removing anything that's also growing downwards or competing with the main center line, so that's growing completely upwards.
And you trim it like right at the branch that it's coming off of,
good question. So trim it right at the, you know, as close to the other branch as possible. It's because we're removing the entire branch. So you don't need to stress too much about like angles or anything right now. Later on, when we prune the tree down, we can discuss that. But yeah, good question. Just prune it right down. Nice, his first snip. It's like a satisfying feeling. So have you named your tree yet?
I haven't.
Really? I feel like we need to name it. Name it today.
By the end of today, we'll have a name.
Yeah, so we got to just have it at the back of our minds. Cool.
Okay, yeah, so something like that, it's
completely
like twisted around something.
It's growing right through the tree, so you can definitely remove that. Cool. If it's growing right across the tree, you can see straight away that it's just not going to, you know, it's just going to start competing. And like I say, these are all guidelines, you know, it's your tree. You've spent the money on it, or you got gifted the tree. So at the end of the day, it's your kind of tree, and I know people are going to give me slack, and there's a wrong or right. You can see he's hooked already. Cool, but yeah, go wild. You can see the noticeable ones like growing downwards, and you won't need that because we want to start developing the branches on the outside of the trees rather. So later on, we're going to snip all of these back, and we're just going to keep trimming them as we go. So here's a really nice example. You can see like these also crossing completely over. So I'm just going to take my scissors. So I might as well, you can see this is the obvious one to remove. So again, you could also take some wire and kind of manipulate where you want it to grow. But I find because this tree is so natural looking and we want to keep that real like natural feel to the tree, with wiring, sometimes you lose that natural feel to the tree. So rather clipping the tree, and then again, with those thorns, it's not the most pleasant tree to wire. So we may do like another little workshop, Shane and I, where we'll do some wiring together. But, you know, I always prefer to trim my acacias down rather than wire them out. So you can see again over here, you know, this one is crossing right over. Might as well just trim that away. So we're going to come in and just trim all of those that are crossing over. So you can see like anything growing downwards. And something I also always say in bonsai, which is really cool, is once it's gone, it's gone. It's a really cool lesson of just letting go in life sometimes, because once it's gone, you can't bring it back. So you just then need to rework it. So I think a lot of people get quite precious on, you know, like, oh, I'm too scared to trim. But at the end of the day, I always used to do a bit of a practice, buy trees and just like prune a branch and be like, whoops, it's gone now. So I might as well just, you know, and I feel like that's where you become a better bonsai artist in theory. So we may get blown off this rooftop. You can see these big stumps here have died off.
Okay.
So even if you want these big stumps over here, you can basically take the concave cutter and you can trim it right down here.
There or
Right
there?
as close as possible, and then it'll look a little bit more natural.
Okay.
Nice. So do you feel like your bonsai ever judges you for having a lazy day at home?
I don't know. I have felt a bit like, especially because I've let it go crazy like this,
Yeah.
I have felt like a bit bad that it's like, it's expecting more of me. It's expecting like to be groomed, you know, like a puppy.
Yeah,
you know?
sure.
It needs a bath, it needs some love. You know?
Yeah.
But then you remember it is a tree, and
Of course.
trees in nature just sit there. You know?
For sure. And we're getting into it now. That's the
Yeah.
nice thing is, you know, all good things come with time, you know. And we'll just
So you
clean up
kind of want to
afterwards.
maintain it kind of spreading out
Completely.
horizontally rather than
Growing inwards and
Okay.
and towards the tree and so on. So yeah, we always want everything to grow outwards.
okay.
So also like another reason, I mean, this bonsai pot's a little bit more unique, but like a more like a purist bonsai pot is like flat and shallow.
Okay.
So the roots actually mirror what's happening on top of the tree.
Oh, sure.
So generally speaking, you want your branches to grow outwards,
Okay.
and then that's overall you're gonna have a nicer looking tree.
Gotcha.
So, you know, especially because a bonsai is so small, there's still going to be sun entering into these bits of the tree. So anything that generally is growing right in the interior bits crossing over would normally not get enough sun, so it'll die off naturally. And I know, like, if you go hiking and so on, you're going to see an old tree and it's going to have a few crossing branches and so on. But trees also don't have to speed through life like we do. So like they do things a lot slower, but over time they will start killing off those competing branches. And again, like the more the tree is on the tips of the branches, the more sun it's going to get, the healthier it's going to be. And eventually, you know, you want your tree to look as beautiful as possible. So same as tree felling, you know, people always normally prune the branches that are crossing. You always want things to grow in pairs, that kind of stuff. But this is like a really nice basic like guidelines just to keep your tree maintained when pruning it.
Cool.
So this is also a nice time of year to do it when the leaves are off the tree, so you can actually see what's going on. And then normally in summer you would let this thing grow wild. You would just prune the bits of foliage, which we'll do another class on, to keep that like conical shape the tree's in. And then when the leaves fall off, then we prune it again so you can see what's going on. And that's how, again, you build up like nice ramification on your tree. So it's a bit of an overwhelming tree to start out, but hey. The hardest thing about bonsai is also you're always thinking about the future of your tree.
Right.
So this is why beginners really struggle, because we're thinking about the future, but we haven't ever like gotten to the future. So it's really hard to like grasp that. But once you've been through a few seasons, you'll start to slowly see what all of it means.
That's what I found with the little ones when I was trying to start.
Yeah.
You know, and I was thinking like, I'm trying to get into bonsai, but it's this, I've got to wait like 4 years before I could even like try to do a thing.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So that was the challenge, was like kind of, I really want to do this hobby, but to get started is like, and I didn't actually think about going to try to buy like little guys like that or anything, you know, but yeah, the lesson in patience and time and nature kind of taking its course is quite profound.
It is beautiful.
Yeah.
And there's so many lessons like trees can teach us, you know. So I mean, even for instance, like an acacia like this is like a really, really intelligent tree. So it can communicate through its root systems.
Sure.
So in the wild where they naturally grow, like for instance the Kruger and places like that, so if a giraffe comes and grazes on the tree, it'll send off a bitter taste to its like foliage, and then it'll communicate to the other trees. So the
wow.
giraffes have to move on before they can start grazing again.
Wow.
So like acacias are just such intelligent trees.
Sure.
And like, yeah, it's beautiful hearing those stories of, and you know, a lot of people think this is cruel pruning a tree,
Yeah.
but in the wild, we are basically the animals. We are the giraffes. Like, you know, they need to be pruned so they can regenerate and so on. So it's like cutting our toenails.
Yeah.
You know, if you just let that stuff grow, it's not gonna be too good. Cool, but yeah, that's looking good. So you can see like anything, all these crossing ones growing downwards, you can remove completely. Just get in there. And then you always generally want things to grow in pairs. So you can see these are
Sure.
nicely in pairs like that. So then later on, when we've cleaned up a few more so we can get more into the tree, we're gonna we don't want anything to grow in threes, generally only in pairs, because naturally trees will grow from one branch, split into two, from two they'll go to 4 to 8 to 16, and that's kind of how you build up that really nice looking tree.
Okay.
And you've got tons of branches on this tree, so
Don't need to be
we
precious.
don't need to be too precious.
Ow.
Yeah, good fun. We've done pretty well so far,
Yeah.
but we won't jinx it. So have you got any up-and-coming gigs at the moment? That's
We've actually just come out of playing quite a few.
Okay.
And then we've got a couple that are sort of starting up again now that the weather's warmer and people want to leave the house, you know.
Nice.
So it's to generally pick up, and then December we will probably do a couple at the coast or some of like the little holiday towns and do that whole scene.
Oh, you guys must definitely go check out Desmond and the Tutus if you haven't. It's quite a treat.
What we are doing that's cool is probably the coolest thing that's happening in Desmond's life at the moment is that we are writing a new album in 2 weeks' time.
Whoa,
Yeah.
that's so exciting. Okay.
We're not one of these bands that writes music continuously.
Yeah.
You know? I suppose it's because we've all got other stuff going on and we kind of meet up for shows and then go our separate ways and see each other again at the next show. So we're not like kind of in the studio every day trying to write songs. So we actually only write songs like once every 4 or 5 years as we try to think of a new album. So it's the time has come for us to start that process again, yeah.
And I got nicely hooked there.
There we go.
So you're not concentrating. But yeah, that's really exciting. So how many songs are on this album? Are we allowed to know?
Dude, so far we haven't written any, but
cool. So
we've been talking about writing this album for about 2 years. So we're very ready to write songs. We just got to write them.
Okay. so it's one of those like going to the studio, start just creating.
I think we're just gonna start by writing songs and playing with ideas and stuff. So we're not too worried about actually recording them just yet.
Yeah.
The hard part is coming up with them, you know.
Yeah.
So how did you get into becoming the Bonsai King of Joburg, dude? I've given you that nickname, by the way.
The Bonsai King of Joburg. That's a great nickname. So, sure. So, always been like fascinated by plants and love my hiking, love nature. Was that kind of that young boy who would bring moss home and rocks in my pockets. And then I kind of left home, moved into a small like apartment, and I was like, shucks, I really want to also like get into like plants and creating, but I was like, shucks, I don't have a garden. So I've also like always been passionate about landscaping and so on.
Sure.
And then started doing research, and I was like, whoa, bonsai is in pots, how perfect is that? And then killed too many trees because I just didn't listen to people, kept them inside because I wanted them inside and this whole thing. And then, like just got so hooked because I started researching like, why did I kill this thing? and then got so hooked in the process of like creating bonsai, like the artistic process. So I'm also like a very artsy person, love to paint, love to play music, love to do all that kind of stuff. And bonsai was like kind of perfect for that. And then COVID came along and used to run another business, which kind of just, you know, didn't do too well. And it was a child development program, so all the extramurals stopped. And I was like, well, I've got all these trees I've been working on for like years. So I started selling them. People needed hobbies during COVID, started these one-on-one classes. And yeah, there was such a need for this. People, especially people in South Africa living in smaller apartments now, don't have these massive big gardens, you know, want to get their hands dirty, but just don't have the space to. So yeah, that's kind of how I got into it. Yeah,
what do you think of that?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Done.
You kind of, like, you got to get a little bit ruthless.
You have to be a little bit ruthless. You can't. So I always find with, especially like teaching, there's 2 stages, like, and I think you're almost entering the next phase pretty quickly, but you're too scared to trim.
Sure.
Then you trim too much, and then you kind of balance yourself out.
Okay.
Because, you know, there's always that, where you trim so much that you're like, this is so much fun, and then you have nothing left. You're like, oh boy.
What have I done?
And, you know, and what's really nice now, obviously, we want to try get as much done in one short space of time, but you can also come out here, you know, over winter. You can take your time, you know, you can have a coffee, you can do one section at a time. So that's also the enjoyment of bonsais, like not rushing through the whole thing. So yeah, it's really nice. So you can see this is also growing straight upwards. So I'm going to just start trimming that.
I think I just made a mistake, but anyway, too late now.
Yeah, there
was one coming up
there, but that was going right down, and there's still quite a bit going. This one's starting to cross, so you can see there's like 2 branches in pairs, and then so this one, if we remove that, it's going to grow. You can see it's like 2 nice pairs.
Gotcha.
So you always like what I like to call is like cleaning up the armpits, so like that like V.
Yes.
So you want to expose those V's.
Gotcha.
So you can almost imagine like a bird perching
nice
on that thing. So now we can see that we can obviously remove that one growing upwards. And obviously all these wounds are going to heal over time.
Okay.
So some bonsais live for like decades, hundreds of years. Do you think Desmond and the Tutus could outlive your bonsai?
I think that
they've been around for 20 years. Just to give some context.
So I think Desmond in some way will exist forever.
Yeah,
you know,
I think so.
The 3 of us, we love doing it so much.
Yeah.
And like, you know, there's really no reason for us to do like a big farewell mission. Like, why can't we just exist forever?
There's no band politics, like, you know, those bands break up. And one day you guys are just gonna like.
What you do find is like, guys, you know, someone will move overseas or someone will get a job or have a kid, and then they have to make this big life change. And like that hasn't happened for us. We've just gone like, guys, we can still do this thing we love doing and have normal jobs and have kids and have a normal life, you know.
Big time.
Some people don't. For some people, it's all consuming and it's like either life or music. But and then they make this big spiel and like do a whole farewell Facebook post and stuff, and then
my last gig.
And then like 6 months later, it's like reunion tour.
Damn marketing scams.
Yeah, exactly.
So I know it can get quite overwhelming. So what I like to do is almost take each branch as its own little tree.
Okay.
And then once each little branch is done, eventually you'll see we'll just be able to work through the whole. So we are being a little bit scattered. So maybe kind of come to this section over here. Up, and then once this is done, then we'll move on to this section.
Okay, gotcha.
So let's even work through this little section over here. But you can see like this one's competing, growing upwards like that. So you can even remove that. This one's growing inwards over there. So I can remove that over there. So I even just remove this.
Yeah, I got that.
You can get in from that angle. Nice. So now this is looking a lot better. Cool. So that's kind of good, and we can come back and reassess. So now we can come shift over to this section.
So it's not necessarily that we want to get rid of all the thin branches.
Yeah.
Or is it that?
No. We want to keep quite a lot of those thin branches.
Okay.
Because you've done like so much hard work in growing this.
Yes.
We just basically want to neaten the tree up a bit.
Okay.
So if you have all these crossing branches, it looks very untidy on the tree. So we really just want to neaten everything up. Okay. So you can see like that's kind of looking a lot more neat overall. You can see this has also died off. And you can normally tell, you can see there's no green in there. So if I scratch it, normally if it was alive, there'll still be green under the the bark. But you can see that naturally that's died off. So it's not going to come back. So you might as well remove it. And now removing that, you can see there's a lot more movement. So instead of putting some wire on there, we can kind of get that movement from clipping. Okay. And this is natural, like branches are going to die off. So you just need to come in, remove them.
Yes. So
you can see like this one's growing downwards.
Cool.
And now you can start to see that there's like almost pads. So
yes.
So your bottom branches are always longer than your top branches.
Yes.
And then you can see like these ones are growing slightly longer than the ones just above it.
Gotcha.
So there's going to be foliage growing here, then there'll be foliage growing here.
Cool.
And that's kind of how you create that conical triangle shape on your tree. So I just had a thought. I feel like your acacia should be on your album, like as a song.
Hey, dude, okay.
So I feel like there's a bit of like pressure here now. You're writing an album like next month.
Yeah.
You don't have content. I feel like you need to come up with like a chorus now for your album.
Yeah, I mean, just like the bonsai will be so top of mind. It will just come up with this like super niche like concept album
for
all
sure,
about trees.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So we need a name by the end of this session, and we need a chorus.
Dude.
Cool. So you can also like see this one starting to grow quite upwards, where it's like going to start blocking these smaller branches, and then naturally, let me just like even just remove it. You just got to trust me.
Okay.
Like that, you can see naturally it's growing a lot more of like an angle there now. And you're going to find the branches. So all these small branches are going to do a lot better. Okay. And having smaller branches on your tree, overall, your tree is going to look a lot more natural over time. So all bonsai generally like to have nice taper. So obviously going from bigger to thinner as they grow up. So you can see naturally like this one's growing directly upwards. And I'm very much about like, this is your tree at the end of the day. So, like you have a pretty good eye when it comes to like arts and design and so on. So, you can kind of now start playing around with how you want it to look. Cool. But yeah, these are nice guidelines to follow. Just makes life a bit easier. And then once you know the guidelines, you got to break them.
Yeah.
But yeah, like very basic stuff that we're doing today. Obviously, we really just like maintaining all the branches, just cleaning it out a bit. We don't want to do anything too advanced, and then get the health of the tree up nicely, and then we can start doing a lot more. So you can also kind of see, you're always looking for like negative space. So you can see how this branch is growing, in this spot. Everything needs to have its own like section of the tree. So you don't want anything to start like competing, so like for instance, this is a nice branch. If I removed it, nothing would be here.
Right.
So, but we want that like nice to fill up all that negative space in the tree. Ouch! Hey, nah. Yeah, that
was a big one.
That was a good one. Yeah, wow. Everyone,
you gotta have like a counter on the video. Bing, clap, 2, shade 3.
Hey, no, I know the pain. I think everyone watching this video, whoever's worked on an acacia, knows exactly what just happened there. Yeah, I think your wife was cruel to you. I think she,
Yeah.
I think she like
Yeah.
knew what was up here. She was like, she went to the nursery and was like, "Give me the tree. It's gonna
Yeah,
hurt my husband."
I was in the dog box that week or something.
It's like, this one has big thorns. Like, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So like, what do you make of that kind of thing? I mean, it's like growing right over.
Yeah,
another
so
branch.
in something like that, you almost want to make a decision of, it could look kind of cool, but at the same time, then it's going to start interfering with this branch here
Yes,
over
yeah.
time. So the stronger this branch gets, it's probably going to shade this branch off.
Cool.
And then it's going to, so again, if you're talking to a purist, they're probably going to be like, trim it off, it's not great. But it's totally, I've seen branches like that in the wild grow, where it grows over, it kind of could look cool. But I think because there's a branch under it, rather remove this one and let this one, grow out. I think it's going to look a lot neater over time.
Sure.
Think about all these branches are also going to get thicker over time.
Right, yeah.
So, over here it's going to start like creating a bit of a weird shape to your tree.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I say, like, thinking about the future, makes it a bit hard. So I definitely think, removing this, should I go for it?
Go for it.
And then you can kind of see, removing that away, it's a nice big branch. You can see over here, it's not like anything's really changed too much. There's a lot more space and flow. And obviously, remember, you're still going to have a big, nice canopy of foliage where it's going to kind of hide that. And now this branch will get a lot stronger. It's going to grow out. And then you can start developing more branches on these little buds over there. So yeah, now you can see by removing that, you can start to see in your tree a bit better.
Yeah,
it's not looking so, it's not like things are growing on top of each other. So it's coming along nicely. It's getting there.
Yeah. I can start to see the vision,
Is it starting to make a bit of sense?
Because it is, yeah.
It is hard to consume everything.
But as you go, you sort of start the branches start to resemble like branches of a nice looking tree.
Of course.
Versus total chaos.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the tree's going to thank you for it,
Okay.
You're going to see. So like, for instance here also, like similar example, this one's growing over. This is also going to start thickening. It's going to create a really big bulge, and it's going to kind of look ugly on your tree. So removing it now, even though there's nothing growing there, this will start growing over here, and we can kind of train it down into this spot. So should I give this one a kill it? Get him. But you can see there now, cleaning that up, you have a nice, it looks a lot more natural. Yeah, so you can see that straight away needs to go. You can see this one is probably dead, so you can even do the scratch test. You can just, I think that's dead. Cool. And once you've done bonsai for like a season, it starts to make more sense, because then you can see exactly from next time we prune this to where it is, like you'll see things, you'll get more growth, but in the right kind of spots.
Okay.
But you can see naturally you're starting to get that conical shape already, and it's looking a lot more free.
Yeah, it's sort of like just adding that little bit of consideration to it helps.
Big time.
It's just like looks a
Completely.
bit less like a crazy tangled mess.
Yeah, it looks like you've put work in your tree now, opposed to just like let it grow. Nice and windy.
Yeah.
I think people will forgive us if there's a bit of wind or a lot of wind. Cool. Yeah, you might as well. So you could either shorten that and then let like a dormant bud, grow that way and kind of see what happens. I'm surprised you've let us cut off this much, because normally people are quite precious with their trees, but it's the way you learn, and you got to.
Well, I'm
You
quite
gotta-
keen now
yeah.
in spring to see it kind of
Just
get
flourish.
leaves and go and like spring back to life, you know.
It's like the best feeling with any deciduous tree. It's like
Sure.
watching that, like let it lose its leaves and then. So how long have you had this tree? Did you say?
But like year and a half or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've seen this process before, or is this the first? Okay, yeah.
When
So-
we got it, it was just starting to lose its leaves,
Okay.
and then it went totally bare like this
Okay.
in winter, and then we saw it bounce back in spring. Like those two are crossing, but it's what do
Again,
you reckon?
it's like such a personal preference, or almost, because if we remove this, obviously this branch is now going to flow nicely down here, which
Yes.
is doing either way, and then you're going to obviously give this space more room to grow. So now, because we've started cleaning up the tree, we can start identifying the main leaders. So like going all the way up to the top part of your tree, all the way up to here is kind of your main leader over there. So this guy here, it's also okay to have more than one main leaders, but this guy wants to now also grow up
Yes.
and try, get as strong as this one, but he's coming from slightly more towards the bottom of your tree.
Right.
So generally speaking, this one would be a better main leader, and then all these branches are also going to get a lot stronger. A lot of bonsai professionals will do this. They'll let their trees grow as wild as you've done it, which is actually a good thing. Restore the energy in the tree, and then they'll come back and now start deciding on which branches. Now they'll let it go for another 2 years as wild as possible, and then start deciding on which branches to remove. And you're going to have a much prettier tree overall. So yeah, so I feel like if you're keen,
I'm gonna hack it.
let's bring it over here, and you can
So we're gonna take it right down to there.
right there, yeah. Nice.
Oh, it's a big boy.
A man with confidence.
Ow.
Yeah, so it's daunting. You've removed a
Yeah.
bit, but it doesn't look
Yeah.
like your tree's missing anything. now.
Sure.
It's not like you're gonna have sleepless nights thinking about the branch you
Yes.
removed. So you can see straight away this is quite a lot longer, than this silhouette over here. So we're just gonna come in. You can see there's like a dormant bud there. We're gonna just trim that back a little bit. So we're kind of gonna equalize all the foliage and the branches on the
Gotcha.
tree. So you can see straight away, this one's looking a bit long. You see it's starting to build ramification here, where we would rather want it to be a little bit closer
Cool.
in the tree. So we can just come in and start trimming all these little branches just to make them a bit shorter.
Okay.
And then I think a little garden tour at my place next will be in order.
Amazing, yeah.
Which is really
I'd love
cool
to
because then
see
you
it.
can see things at different stages.
Cool.
It also starts making a little bit more sense then, because obviously this is all we're really doing is just getting this back into shape. So it's hard to know how someone grew this or so on.
Yeah.
So do you see any like similarities with shaping an acacia and writing a song?
It's a good question. Hey? I mean, the most obvious one is probably like the need to sometimes be ruthless.
Yeah, sure.
It's like, well, you also very involved in writing music, so like sometimes there's something that you probably, if you're honest with yourself, you don't really need.
Yeah.
And then the song's better off for
Yeah,
it,
big
It's like,
time.
I
That's
think
a
a lot
nice
of
way
our
to-
stuff is like the more basic and honest it is,
Yeah.
often the better it is. you
Yeah.
know?
But that's with like
Yeah.
most music. I think we
Yeah.
complicate things
Yeah.
way too much. Even I see it in the bonsai world.
Yeah.
People complicate it.
Sure.
And yes, there's a place for it. Cool. How are you doing? So you can see like this
Yeah.
one's quite a bit longer than
Okay.
all the other ones. So shortening it and then allowing it to
Gotcha.
develop.
Okay.
So even look at it from like this angle over here, because I think this is quite a nice front.
Yes.
Where over here you've got like quite a nice back branch over there.
Cool.
And then this you can kind of see the front of the
Yes.
tree a little bit easier.
When the leaves come in, that's gonna
Yeah,
be, that's gonna
exactly.
be so nice. Yeah.
And I think you're gonna see, like it's hard to imagine
Yeah.
now, but yeah, you almost need like now, you need spring to just hurry up.
yes.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we would call wasted foliage, because it's like a small little branch growing completely upwards.
Cool.
So rather let it go to where you want it to kind of go. But yeah, man, I think I'm happy. I think, you know, we should also just put on, like, I mean, you have a before of this.
Yes.
I think you sent it to me, so you must just keep that photo, and then every year, like, just see how it develops and keeps going. And you know, after a few seasons, you're going to see there's going to be more branches growing kind of where we want it to. But I wouldn't take off more at the top. Okay. Like, I think, like, what do you say? What is what's kind of?
I think I do sort of like that line going down there, and
that's like my favorite part. Just chop these down a bit. But yeah, that is nice. Like, the one thing that potentially is bugging me is this big branch, but I think leave it for now. We can kind of reassess it
from there out.
Yeah, it's like almost drawing. You know, and it doesn't have as much tape, like where this has got really nice movement in it, and this is kind of just straight. But I think that's something we can. Don't rush it. Also, even when there's leaves on, we can remove it. Also on. But I think the main objective was just to get rid of all those crossing branches, competing branches growing downwards. And then I definitely think we're going to have to do a redo of just like when it's in leaf to kind of show, to keep that into that conical shape. So, you know, because obviously now you're not going to be pruning as many branches. You're going to be pruning more of the like the foliage and like the new kind of branches.
So when the leaves do come in, then you get another sense and you give it another once over and kind of...
Cool. Then you're going to want to like prune it, keeping it, so kind of keep it in the shape that you desire. So, you know, like you can kind of see what shape you're going for. So even if you get any like bits of foliage that have like extended the shape, just trim those back. And then next season, we'll kind of redo this. And then again, like July is normally the best time of year to do this work. But it's also perfectly fine, you know, that it is a little bit late in the year. It's better than not, you know, not doing it at all.
I see these two are crossing. I'm going to maybe lose that one.
But you can start to see like what you want. And there's always a time we're going to miss like one or two branches. But as you walk, you know, every time you walk up here, and now I hope you can water it a bit more often. So that every time you can observe what's going on in the tree. But I think it's really cool. Like I say, it's always hard to envision the future.
No, I think that's... It's looking great.
It's really nice. Awesome. Well, I hope you're happy. I think it's gonna
that's been
turn out
super helpful.
For sure. And there's so much to bonsai, so it goes super deep into it. You know, like this is more just like maintenance type of thing, where like my real passion with bonsai is like creating, you know, if you created this yourself, like that's where the real like love and enjoyment is. And then maintaining is also like a really cool part of it. But like maintaining trees, growing trees, that's like really where the joy comes in. But man, it was awesome spending time with you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
It's been really, really cool, dude. I'm glad we finally got around to it.
Man.
And thank you for imparting all your wisdom, or at least
anytime.
Some of your wisdom of me today.
No, there's so much more we can do, which we'll definitely do more of. So thanks, man. Awesome.
Nice. Thank you.
Cool. It was really awesome helping out a South African musician and get him into the art of bonsai. I hope you guys learned something today. I hope you all have a beautiful day, and I'll see you all next week, Saturday.